Chapter 1. A Hollow Beginning. Aizen's Throne Room. Las Noches, Hueco Mundo. Aizen sat in his throne watching a projection of another world. What he was witnessing intrigued him. A large mob of people was currently chasing a small blonde-headed child, no older than 6 years old. The people kept calling him a demon. In addition to the immense amount of spiritual pressure emanating from the boy, Aizen sensed something even stronger sealed away, most likely the source of the mob's catcalls. Aizen immediately called for Jin and Tosin. "What is it, Aizen-sama?" Jin asked, grinning his fox-like grin as usual. "This boy here, Naruto Uzumaki, is very powerful. I want you to bring him here so that he can be trained by the Espada," Aizen said as he looked back at the image and saw that the boy had tripped and was about to be beaten by the mob. "As you wish, Aizen-sama," Tosin said as he and Jin turned and left. Aizen now had a wide smile on his face. Somewhere in Konohagakure, Naruto was on the ground, trying to back away from the mob. The people in the mob were wielding only knives and lights, but, unfortunately for Naruto, that was all the mob needed. "Now we will vanquish this demon from our land," the leader of the mob said as the rest of the mob cheered in approval. "I'm not a demon. Why are you doing this?" Naruto asked as the mob closed in on him. "Now we get out revenge," the leader said as he brought his knife down on the boy. Naruto closed his eyes as he prepared to meet his end. Fortunately for him, in the shinobi world, it never came. "Shoot to kill, Shinso," an unfamiliar voice said. Naruto opened his eyes and saw that a very long sword had pierced the leader. He turned to see its wielder. It was a man with white hair, squinty eyes, and a wide smile. He was wielding the blade that had saved Naruto's life. It had been extended to a ridiculous length, allowing the sword to reach the mob leader. The white-haired man stood next to a black man with purple hair and some sort of visor on his eyes. Naruto could still see that the man's eyes had no pupils, however, giving the impression that he was blind. "Well, what the?" Naruto stuttered as the two men walked closer to him. My, that was a close one," the white-haired man said. "Who are you and why did you save the demon?" one of the people in the mob asked as the white-haired man looked at him in confusion. "Huh, demon? If you mean this kid here, then your eyes are even worse than Tosin's, and he's actually blind," said the white-haired man as the black man, Tosin, just looked at him with a scowl. "If you're here to help the demon, then you'll die with him," another member of the mob said as they charged at Naruto and the two strangers. The white-haired man quickly grabbed Naruto and leapt back while Tosin jumped into the air. "Suzamushi Nishiki, Benehiko," Tosin said as he made a circle around him from the top to bottom with his sword. When he had finished his motion, multiple blades came out of nowhere and rained down on the mob. The entire mob was slaughtered in an instant. Naruto was amazed by such a technique and wished to learn more. "What do you want with me?" Naruto asked as the white-haired man gently put him down. "Let's start with introductions first. I am Jin, and this Tosin. We came from a place called Hueco Mundo, and we're here to take you back with us to be trained," Jin replied as Naruto just looked at him, shocked at the news. "Train me? What?" Naruto asked, wondering why anyone would want to train him. "Because our master, Aizen, believes that you are strong, and now that we're closer, I can sense that you do indeed have much strength," Tosin said. He had sensed Naruto's strength the moment he laid eyes on him, so to speak. "Will I be leaving forever?" Naruto asked. While he may have disliked like the villagers, Naruto still had friends in the village. "It all depends on what Aizen-sama has planned. Will you come with us, please?" Jin asked while extending his hand, which Naruto took. Before they could depart, however, they were stopped by the arrival of the third Hokage and a few Umbu Black Ops members. "Hold it right there. Where are you taking Naruto?" the Hokage asked as his Umbu prepared to attack the two strangers. "We are taking Naruto to a place to be trained so he can stand up to the nut jobs, like these fools, in your village. And before you think that we're kidnapping him, you should know that he chose to come with us on his own accord," Jin said as the Hokage looked at him in shock. "What? Naruto, is this true?" the Hokage asked, to which Naruto just nodded. "Don't worry, Naruto will return, just not for a while," Jin said with a smile. "Very well. If Naruto is going out of his free will, then I'll allow it. Just promise me, however, that he will return, Sarutobi said. He ordered the Umbu to stand down when Jin and Tozen nodded in reply. The two Shinigami then turned around and opened a Garganta and walked through it, with Naruto in tow, before the portal slammed shut. Be safe, Naruto, Sarutobi thought to himself as he and his Umbu disappeared. Aizen's throne room. Las noches, Hueco Mundo. Naruto looked in awe at the massive castle/fortress he was now inside. Jin and Tozen led him into a huge room, the throne room from what Naruto could tell, where a man was seated on a throne on the opposite side of the room. The man had a white outfit on and had brown slicked-back hair. Welcome, Naruto. I am Sosuke Aizen, the one who sent Jin and Tozen to retrieve you. Aizen said as Jin and Tozen brought Naruto closer to Aizen, who decided to get up and walk to meet his newest acquisition. Naruto bowed respectfully to the man. Are you going to be the one training me? Naruto asked as Aizen smiled gently at him. No, I will have you trained by the Espada, 10 warriors who are my strongest force, Aizen said. Naruto was surprised to hear that he was going to have 10 different teachers. Naruto was startled by the opening of another huge door from which 10 figures stepped out. The first guy was big and muscular with a tan and a ponytail. The only guy wearing a helmet made bubbling noise and had a popped collar. There was a man with pink hair had glasses on who had a thin body. The only black member was bald, had some spikes on his head. The guy next to him had a jaw on the right side of his face, as well as blue hair. There was another guy whose outfit made him look like a giant spoon and who wielded a huge misshapen scythe. The palest member had green eyes, black hair, and teal-colored marks that looked like tears. The only woman in the group had blonde hair, blue eyes, and had her face covered. There was an old man who had one eye closed and was wearing some sort of crown. The final member had a lazy look in his eyes and brown hair. The guys must be the Espada. Is that them? Naruto asked as he looked back at Aizen. Yes, but training can wait until tomorrow. Why don't you go with Jin to your room? Aizen said. Naruto nodded in reply and began walking with Jin before he suddenly stopped. Hey, I have a quick question. Will I be able to go home when my training is done? Naruto asked while Aizen still smiled at him. Yes, you are free to go when your training in Las Noches is done, Aizen said as Naruto smiled and left to rest. Are you really going to let him leave? Tozen asked as Aizen turned to look at him. Yes, after we've taken the Soul Society and the real world, we will take over his world, with him as the main weapon, Aizen said to his subordinate as he sprouted a wide smile. If only he knew what happened in the future. 7 years later. Naruto sat atop a tower in Hueco Mundo staring out at the massive desert. He had on a white jacket and black shirt underneath, along with black pants and sandals. He had his Zanpakuto, which was a blade with black hilt with red wrappings around it, and a red, round, spiral-patterned tsuba, a slash-in. The tsub looks like the Uzumaki clan symbol. Naruto had gotten strong enough to beat all 10 Espada in both their regular forms and their released forms. Since he trained with the Arankars, he had obtained a release for his Zanpakuto as well. On top of that, he also got 2 fractions named Django and Terrarin. Now, with his training complete, Naruto set his sights on a new objective. Ready or not, Konoha? Here come Naruto Uzumaki, said Naruto as he left to have a final talk with Aizen. Chapter 2. Departure and Return. Naruto used a flash step to get to Aizen's stronghold. Naruto had gotten the abilities of a Shinigami, but didn't have a Shurikai or Bankai. Thanks to Aizen, the QB had been resealed inside Naruto's blade, hence him having a release. This made his Zanpakuto more Arankar-like in how it was used. Since the tailed beast was still connected to his soul, Naruto still had the healing abilities that the QB provided. Naruto's training also resulted in him gaining several hollow abilities, though without the need for an inner hollow to use them. Naruto entered the center of Las Noches and decided to head to his room one last time. When he got there, he saw some new clothes on his bed. A note was attached to it. Dear Naruto, I thought you might like some new clothes considering you're leaving soon. This should be appropriate for you big return. Enjoy. Signed. Aizen. Naruto smiled at the note and put on the clothes. There was a shirt similar to Grimjow's, but it had short sleeves instead of the long sleeves that the 6th Espada rolled up. The pants were white and baggy with black trim. His sandals were Espada Edition sandals, and he had white forearm gauntlets on his arms that had skulls in the middle. The outfit also included a pair of spalders with a similar design. Naruto took a look at himself in the mirror after trying out his new outfit before going to Aizen's throne room. Naruto walked inside, but found that Aizen was not at his throne. Rather than going out and looking for him, Naruto decided to wait for him. He was in no hurry to get back and wanted to at least talk one last time with the Espada. Speaking of the Espada, Grimmjow had just walked into the throne room. "How are you, Grimmjow-sama?" Naruto asked as his teacher looked at him and gave his usual grin. "Bored as hell. What are you doing?" Grimmjow asked. He sat next to Naruto. "Just waiting for Aizen-sama. I need to discuss my departure with him," Naruto said as Grimmjow looked at him with a surprised expression. "Is it time already?" Grimmjow asked, to which Naruto nodded in reply. "Yeah, it's been a while since I began my training. If my math is correct, it should be 7 years past in my world. I can't wait," Naruto said as he sported his trademark grin. "I like that look in your eye," Grimmjow said as he smiled. Naruto gave a small chuckle. "I'm just pumped as all. There are some people I've been dying to see," Naruto said before Grimmjow flashed a sleazy look. "Oh, you mean like a girl?" Grimmjow asked in a mocking tone. Naruto, not surprisingly, got steamed at him. "Shut up, Grimmjow-sama," Naruto yelled as Grimmjow laughed at him. "I thought I heard some sort of commotion," another person said. Naruto immediately recognized that voice thanks to its lazy tone. "So you actually decided to wake up, Stark-sama," Naruto said, as Stark just looked at him with his laziness still present in his eyes. "I had no choice since Lillinet kept waking me up while you two started making noise over here," Stark said as he cleaned his ears. "Well, that's a great way to say farewell, Stark," Grimmjow said. Stark was confused by Grimmjow's comment, but he finally understood after a minute or so. "So today's the day, huh?" Stark said in a dull tone. "Yep, time for me to head home and cause a little trouble. Though I still have to consult Aizen-sama, so I am waiting for him to return," Naruto said. Stark nodded in reply before he sat next to Naruto. "Then wait no longer," a familiar voice said. Naruto, Grimmjow, and Stark turned around to see that Aizen had appeared to see Naruto off. Along with Aizen remaining Espada, their fractions, and Naruto's own 2 fractions came to see him off. "Oh, so you were gathering the rest of the guys to see me off?" Naruto said while smiling at Aizen and the errand car. "Yes, I thought that everyone that worked with you should be here to wish you luck. Though I'm sure that the people that fight you should pray for luck if they want to survive," Aizen said, showing his usual smile. "Got that right. Well then, I guess this is goodbye," Naruto said as he extended his hand to Aizen, who took it. "For now at least," Aizen said as he shook Naruto's hand. "Good luck, Gaki," Noitra said while grinning at Naruto. "Are we coming with you, Naruto-sama?" Terrarin asked while giving a hopeful yet sad look at him. Terrarin was an errand car with long green-haired who looked like a teenage girl. Her outfit was just a top with a skirt and some leggings. She had a piece of a mask in the form of a headband. Django, Naruto's other fraction, was a bit taller than Naruto. He had brown medium hair and a hollow mask in the form of a human skull over his entire face. He had an Espada outfit with long sleeves, and his shirt was open. Both of them had regular katanas, but Terrarin's had a pink hilt and a black-colored blade while Django's had a black hilt and a sickly pale-colored blade. Terrarin and Django were the 28th and 29th Numeros class errand cars, respectively, though they were both at the same level of strength as Ulquiorra when he used his Segunda Etapa. Without releasing their Zappakudos, they had chosen not to become Espada out of their loyalty to Naruto. "No, you should remain here in Hueco Mundo. I will, however, call when I need your assistance," Naruto said as the 2 errand car bowed. "If that's what you wish, Naruto-sama," Django said, giving a weak smile. Naruto opened up a garganta and stepped through it. He took one last glance back at his teachers before it closed completely. "Take care of yourselves, and thanks for everything," Naruto thought to himself as the Espada disappeared from sight. Main gate, Konohagakure. Izumo and Kotetsu were at the entrance to Konoha, bored as usual. They had been there the whole morning, taking check of everyone that had passed into and out of Konoha. Though they hoped it was nothing bad, Izumo and Kotetsu wished that something interesting would happen. They got their wish when a black portal opened up in the sky above them. What in the name of Kami is that? Izumo asked as he and Kotetsu just looked at the portal with a little scared look. I'm not sure, but it doesn't look friendly, Kotetsu said. Kotetsu was about to go get back up before was stopped by Izumo grabbing his arm. Wait, there's someone inside, Izumo said while pointing at a figure that appeared within the portal. No way, that's Kotetsu said as he stared at the person inside the portal. The person he saw inside of the portal was none other than Naruto, who then stepped out of the portal and floated gently to the ground. Naruto walked to the gate and nodded to the two guards as they stared wide-eyed at him. Yo, said Naruto casually as he walked into the village towards the Hokage Tower. Izumo and Kotetsu just stared with open mouths and then looked back at each other. Hokage's office, the academy. A few minutes later, the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, was dealing with the one threat that no Kage had been able to get rid of, paperwork. The stack in front of him was huge in height, as the old man tried to make it smaller with every sheet signed. The sad part was that the stack was going to be at the same level tomorrow if it didn't go higher. As he was going through some more documents, someone knocked the on-door. Come in, the third said as he took down another sheet to be signed. Long time no see, old man, and voice said. This voice made the Hokage look up with wide eyes. Standing in the doorway was Naruto, smiling at one of the few people that treated him with kindness. The Sandaime had tried to have Naruto be seen as a hero, as per the Yandaime's instructions, but it fell on mostly deaf ears. The few people who did listen tried to at least adopt the poor kid, but the civilian council, in their arrogance and complete hatred of the boy, shot them all down. When the Hokage told the councils that Jin and Tozen had taken Naruto, the civilian council was happy to be rid of the so-called demon child. The shinobi council, however, was not so cheerful. When the Sandaime assured them, in secret, that Naruto would return one day, they got a little bit happy. Unlike the civilian council, the members of the shinobi council did not hold any real hatred towards Naruto, as they knew the Kyuubi's attack on Konoha was not Naruto's fault. Now, after 7 years, Naruto has returned, Hiruzen sensing the definite change that had occurred. Welcome home, Naruto, Sandaime said as he gave the blonde a big hug. Thanks, old man, though I doubt I'll get the same warm welcome from most people. How've you been? Still dealing with paperwork? Naruto said. The third frowned in response to that comment, as he was well aware that the child was mocking him and his torment. Unfortunately, yes. I am unable to escape this torture until I find a successor, the Sandaime said, going back to his desk and motioning Naruto to sit. Naruto, however, waved it off. I'm not here to talk long, I just wanted to say hi and get back to the academy. Though they can't really teach me anything there, I still need to graduate to be a ninja, Naruto said, to which the Sandaime nodded. The Sandaime then held up a finger. Hold on a sec, I almost forgot. This will let you go through the graduation process without having going through all the teachings over again so you can graduate with your class, he said before he took out a piece of paper and wrote down a note that he then gave to Naruto. Thanks, old man, Naruto said before taking the note and waving goodbye to the man who was like a grandfather to him before leaving. Academy classroom. A few moments later. Don't forget that the graduation exam is tomorrow. So everyone study hard and sharpen your skills tonight, Irika announced to the class. Everyone was excited about finally graduating, having worked hard, for the most part, to become ninja. Some of the students had decided to become ninja to gain power. Some were there to achieve glory, and some were just there only because their parents forced them to go. Cough shikamer cough. The opening of the door stopped the chattering amongst the students. The figure that stepped in made the guys look shocked, the girls with blushes on their faces, and few with nosebleeds. As Naruto walked in, he gave a mock salute to Irika and gave him the note from the Hokage. Irika nodded at Naruto in understanding and motioned for him to take a seat. A certain Uchiha was looking at Naruto with a frown. The fact that this new guy walked in here like he owned the place felt like an attack on the Uchiha's pride. Class, our new student, or returning student to be more precise, is Naruto Uzumaki. He will be participating in the graduation exam with the rest of you, Irika said. Some of the students were shocked by this revelation while others, including a certain pink-haired girl, were very upset. Araka-sensei, that's not fair. Why does that blonde baka get to take the exam when he hasn't even been here for so long? Sakura screeched. Because she had done this in Naruto's ear, he had to clean them to make sure that the pink banshee didn't cause him to lose his ability to hear. Because Naruto has been training for the past 7 years in another place. His training makes him more than qualified to take the exam, Irika said as Sakura gave one last angry look at Naruto before she went back to her seat. Naruto-kun, I knew it was you, Hinata thought as she blushed at seeing Naruto in such a hot outfit. Naruto sensed her looking at him and turned around and looked at her. Hinata immediately tuned her head with an eep sound. Naruto turned back around and gave a smile. As the bell rung dismissed, the students proceeded to return home. Naruto walked away from the classroom, but stopped when he felt someone's killer intent directed at him. Naruto turned around to see Sasuke Uchiha, who was giving him an ugly look. "What do you want, Uchiha?" Naruto asked him. He was not in the mood for a fight with the Uchiha punk, as that would have been a waste of his time. "I just want you to remember your place. I'm the top student in my class, so don't you think that I'll let you pass this exam? You dead last," Sasuke said. The Uchiha was smirking until Naruto yawned in reply. Naruto had fought against beings with more power than anyone in this world could shake a stick at. The Uchiha standing before him was, to Naruto, little more than a cockroach by comparison and, as a result, not even worth taking seriously. "You finished gloating yet? I have got to go to my apartment to make sure I've got food to eat," Naruto said as he turned around. "Don't you turn your back on me," the Uchiha yelled as he threw a punch. Sasuke stopped his attack when Naruto disappeared. Sasuke looked around for Naruto but couldn't find him until he reappeared behind the Sasuke, his sword pressed against the Uchiha's neck. "I'm not going to fight you today, Sasuke. I'll save that for tomorrow. Just be ready to be beaten by a dead last in the meantime," Naruto said as he once again disappeared, leaving the Uchiha enraged at this humiliation. Chapter 3: A Secret Revealed. Konohagakure. Naruto was quite surprised to find his apartment completely untouched. He thought for sure that some of the crazy villagers would have come here to ransack the room and then burn it down. Yet here it was, nothing out of place except for a little dust. He went through the fridge and found that everything had expired years ago from both on the labels and the smell of, for lack of a better comparison, death. While he could have gone to buy groceries, he decided on a different solution for the time being. He left his apartment and headed to the one restaurant he had missed since he left Konoha, Ichiraku Ramen. He walked into the stand and sat down at his usual spot. Memories of all the times he had come here to enjoy a good bowl of ramen flooded his mind as he anticipated tasting the finest ramen in all of the shinobi world. "Hello, and welcome to Akira, Naruto. You're back. Dad, come here and see this," Ayam said as she went outside and hugged Naruto. Her father came out from the kitchen at the mention of Naruto's name. "Well, it's good to see you again, Naruto. I'll be honest, I thought I wasn't going to see you again," Tucci said, as Ayam pulled away from Naruto and went back inside. "You know I can't be parted from your ramen forever," Naruto said, flashing his trademark smile at them as he ordered pork ramen. When Naruto got out the chopsticks and slurped up the first bit of ramen, he let out a sigh of happiness. It was still as good as it was when he had left Konoha. It tasted a lot better when one remembers he's been deprived of this ramen for so long. In Hueco Mundo, Naruto had to eat whatever he could find, not an easy thing considering the lack of anything alive there. As for something to drink, tea was provided by Aizen. Most of the time, after a large amount of ramen consumption, Naruto decided to head back to the apartment and rest up for tomorrow. As he lay in bed, Naruto thought of the best way to unveil his new abilities tomorrow at the academy. The thoughts of all the shocked faces brought a smile to his face. "Tomorrow everyone will learn that I'm the top guy now," Naruto thought to himself before he fell now asleep. The next day, Naruto woke up and put back on his outfit before he walked out the door. As he made his way to the academy, he noticed that he was still getting ugly looks from some of the villagers. The looks didn't improve when he got to the academy. Some of the parents saw Naruto only as a monster that the yondaime merely weakened for the people of the village to finish off. The only Naruto thought that he had regarding this was how sweet it would feel when the stares would change, eventually. Not everyone stared at him with hatred in their eyes, as there were some friendly faces in the mix. Those faces were the families of Shikamaru, Choji, and Kiba, whom Naruto had spent a lot of time with before he left for Lost No Chase. A few minutes before the test began, Naruto made his way into the classroom and took his seat. He looked to his left and saw Sasuke, who was still seething after what happened yesterday. "I'm going to embarrass you in front of the entire academy. You loser," Sasuke thought to himself as he ignored the usual screeching from his fangirls. Sakura, one of these fangirls, decided to get on Sasuke's good side by pushing Naruto around. "You might as well quit, Baka. Sasuke is the best, and you can compete with him. For all we know, your training didn't help you at all, so why don't you just leave before you end up embarrassing yourself?" Sakura said as she hit Naruto in the back of the head. "Bad idea." Naruto's face was planted to his desk as a result. Even though Naruto did hit the desk pretty hard, it didn't break since Sakura didn't have that kind of strength yet. Naruto looked up from his desk, straightened his back, took a deep breath, and stood up. A few moments later, Iruka was very excited to see how his students fared in the tests. He had trained them well and silently wished the best of luck to them. He was even more excited, though, to see how powerful Naruto had become. Iruka had tried to look out for Naruto when he was still here and treated him like a brother. Iruka opened the door and stood in front of the class. "Good morning, class. I just wanted to say I'm proud of all of you for making it this far, and I think the Kami. Sakura, what happened to your face?" Iruka yelled as he looked over at a bruised Sakura. After Sakura had smacked Naruto, Naruto simply smirked and punched her in her face, causing her to hit the floor hard, using 1.5% of his strength. After Sakura didn't move for a while, Naruto picked her up and sat her in her desk before he proceeded to gently shake her until she regained consciousness. When Sakura came to, however, the pain of Naruto's attack hit her so fast that she would have screamed in pain if Naruto hadn't covered her mouth with his hand. After he whispered something in her ear, he removed his hand. Sakura decided to stay quiet until Iruka came in. Sakura now looked at Naruto, who looked back at her, allowing Iruka to make the connection. He decided not to say anything about it. However, as he figured Sakura probably said or did something that was stupid enough to force Naruto to respond like this. Naruto punched her in the face and she fell on the floor. A random student from the class said to the Chunin, "Is that so? Well, about this after the exams, Naruto," Iruka said as Naruto gave a nod in understanding. Naruto and his fellow classmates took a series of different tests to test their skills, ranging from jutsus to use of weapons. Though the jutsu that the students usually demonstrated was the clone jutsu, Naruto was allowed to demonstrate an alternative technique due to the unique circumstances surrounding his training. The final test with the combat skills portion, the students would spar with each other to show their fighting skills. In the first match, Choji fought Kiba, if you can call sitting on Kiba for the entire match fighting. The next match was between Sakura and Shikamaru, but the match was called a draw after a while due to Sakura's face being sore as well as Shikamaru's laziness. In the next match, Hinata defeated Ino with her clan's gentle fist attacks. After the match ended, Hinata looked over at Naruto to see if he watched her. Naruto looked back at her and gave her a smile and nod, causing Hinata to blush on the outside and to jump up and down in her mind. After a few other fights, Sasuke and Naruto's little spar, if you wanted to call it that, was next. Almost all of the girls were, not surprisingly, cheering for Sasuke, with Hinata the only exception. Naruto walked out into the little grass area where the spar would take place. Before the match began, Naruto unsheathed his Zanpakuto and stuck it in the ground, which, to those who knew him in Lost No Chase, meant that he would fight the opponent in question but still saw her, as a waste of his time. "I'm gonna crush you, loser, and prove that you are what we all know you as, a dead last," Sasuke said as got screams of approval from the fangirls and a raised eyebrow from Naruto. "Is that so? Well then, why don't I make your victory a little bit easier? Oh great Uchiha," Naruto mockingly said, to which Sasuke responded by looking at him with a frown. "And how do you do that?" Sasuke asked as Naruto held up one arm and put it behind his back. Rocker 1600 note. Moderate editing from the original begins. "I will give you an advantage. One hand, no, one finger is all I will use for this spar. Sound good to you?" Naruto said, smirking, while the Uchiha just frowned. Naruto closed his free hand into a fist, save for his index finger. Do what you want, you'll still lose no matter what, Sasuke said as readied himself for a fight. Ready? Begin, Iruka said. Sasuke made the first move when he charged at Naruto. Sasuke threw a right hook, but was dodged by Naruto, who sidestepped the punch. Sasuke then tried a body kick, which Naruto easily evaded. Sasuke kept using attack after attack, but nothing connected. Then, Sasuke nailed Naruto in the chin with an uppercut. Everyone held their breath, thinking the Uchiha had finally won the fight. Chuckling broke the silence, which then turned into all-out laughter. It was coming from Naruto, which enraged Sasuke. Are you serious? That's it. I gotta say, I knew you were weak, but this is pathetic, Naruto said as he looked at the Uchiha. Why you dash, Sasuke said before Naruto placed his finger on Sasuke's chest. Before Sasuke could react, Naruto used his finger to push Sasuke back. Naruto had applied enough force to send Sasuke flying back to the academy building. When Sasuke landed on the wall of the building, the amount of force Naruto had used caused Sasuke to go right through the wall, leaving a noticeable hole. The fangirls immediately crowded an unconscious Uchiha while Naruto picked up his sword, sheathed it, and walked away with a wide smile. As he was about to go back inside to receive his headband, Iruka stopped him. Naruto, I'm sure Sakura did something or said something stupid, but please have better control over your attacks from now on. That goes for this little display as well, Iruka said as he got a nod from Naruto. Don't worry, that was just so she knew not to hit me again. As for Sasuke, I actually held back. A lot, Naruto said with a grin as he walked back to the academy. Despite the angry looks from some of the villagers, Naruto was more than satisfied with becoming a full-fledged shinobi of Konoha. Naruto was on his way home when he saw Hinata walking home with her father Hayashi. Hey Hinata, congratulations on becoming a shinobi, Naruto said. He chuckled in the back of the mind as he saw Hinata blush. Thank you, Naruto-kun, Hinata said while her father, Hayashi, just smiled at the two. Congratulations to you too. I hope that you and my daughter will do great things for Konoha, said Hayashi, as Naruto nodded at him. We will. I've got to go now, so I'll see you around, Hinata, said Naruto, walking away as Hinata waved goodbye. Hayashi simply looked at the young Naruto. I don't know what you did for her, but I thank you for it. Though she still has a long way to go, you helped her gain some confidence in herself, Hayashi thought to himself before he and Hinata continued to walk home. Rocker 1600 note. Moderate editing formed the original ends. Naruto made his way back to his apartment and found a note pinned to the door when he arrived. Naruto, I want to congratulate you on becoming a shinobi. I have something I wanted to talk to you about. Think of it as a reward for becoming a shinobi. Meet me at the Hokage Tower after reading this note. Signed, the third Hokage. Naruto then used a flash step to get to the Hokage Tower. Sarutobi was waiting for him at the top of the tower, smoking his usual pipe. He nearly dropped his pipe in shock when Naruto appeared, seemingly out of nowhere. You got here fast. How'd you do that? Sarutobi asked, surprised by how fast the boy could move. It's a technique called a flash step. It's one of the things I learned at Lost No Chase. Anyways, what did you want to talk to me about? Naruto asked as he folded his arms. Naruto, have you ever wondered about who your parents might be? Asked Sarutobi, getting a raised eyebrow from Naruto. Sometimes. I always thought that my parents died during the Kyuubi's attack. After I earned the Kyuubi's trust, one tried asking him about my parents to see if he knew, but he's been very reluctant to tell me, Naruto said, while taking note of the fact that Sarutobi's eyes widened in shock. How did you find out about the Kyuubi? Sarutobi asked as he had made it clear that it was forbidden to mention the Kyuubi's presence within Naruto to the boy. Aizen, the man who helped train me, told me. Naruto calmly, to which Hiruzen did a facepalm. He had forgotten that he had not mentioned this rule to the two men who had taken Naruto with them 7 years ago. I see. Well, your parents did die during the Kyuubi attack, but your father is the one who sealed the Kyuubi in you, to protect the village, Sarutobi said as he saw that Naruto was looking at him as if he had two heads. That's impossible. That would mean that my dad is Dash, Naruto said before Sarutobi finished the sentence for him. The Yondaime Hokage, Minato Namikaze, Sarutobi said. Naruto's face was suddenly with feelings of shock, then happiness, and then anger, which Sarutobi had expected to an extent. My own father sealed the QB inside me, Naruto said as he clenched his fists. I thought you might react that way, but you have to understand that he had faith that you would one day be able to control it, which you have. And I can promise you that your father truly did care about and would not have done it if he didn't have a good reason to. Sarutobi said. He placed his hand on Naruto's shoulder. This revelation helped Naruto calm down. That makes sense, and I guess being the son of the Yondaime makes up for it, Naruto said. Sarutobi smiled at seeing how much Naruto had matured since he left. I have something I want to show you. Follow me, Sarutobi said before leading Naruto out of the Hokage Tower. He led him to the Namikaze estate, which was located about a half a mile outside of Konoha. The place was, needless to say, enormous, as it was twice as big as the Hyuga estate. Naruto saw that the place was surrounded by a barrier, with a blood seal on the front door keeping it intact. Go ahead, release the seal, Sarutobi said, to which Naruto looked at him with a raised eyebrow. Naruto placed his hand on the seal, which quickly deactivated the barrier. Naruto was a little bit shocked that it worked. So is this place mine now? Naruto asked, to which as Sarutobi nodded. Yes, but let's not move in yet. IR's best for us to make sure that everyone knows you're the son of the fourth before getting comfortable in your birthright, Sarutobi explained. Naruto nodded in agreement. That sounds fair to me. Thanks for showing me this, old man, Naruto said as he hugged the old Kage. I knew you were strong enough to know the truth now, Sarutobi said as he broke off the hug and walked back to the tower. I hope you're watching me, Dad, because your son is about to become the greatest shinobi of all time, Naruto as he looked one last time at the estate before reactivating the barrier. Chapter 4, Teams and Problems. Academy Classroom, Konohagakure. Naruto was a bit anxious today. Why? Because today was the day where he would get put into a Chunin team. He just hoped he didn't get put into a group of morons, primarily Sasuke and Sakura, if at all possible. He especially hoped he didn't get the both of them. Okami. He prayed that he didn't have those two. He hoped he would get put with a team of people like Hinata and Shino. Those two had some sense in their heads. He would take Shikamaru at this point. Though he found his a bit annoying, Naruto was at least on good terms with him. His thought process was disrupted when he got up to the classroom. Irika came into the classroom a few minutes later to address the class. Welcome, class. First off, I would like to congratulate all of you for passing and becoming Chunin. As you know, this means that you will now be put into teams of 3 and will carry out mission with both your teammates and your sensei. Now, for the team assigning. Team 1 will be, Irika said as he announced several teams. This continued until he got to Team 7. Team 7 will be Naruto Uzumaki, Sakura Haruno, and Sasuke Uchiha, said Irika, as he saw Naruto just put his head down in anger. Kami, you have cruel sense of humor, Naruto thought to himself as he raised his head and looked at Sasuke and Sakura, seeing that they weren't too happy about the pick either. Rocker 1600 note. One of my 2 favorite funny moments in this story was laughing and thinking, yes it does, Naruto. The rest of the teams were announced and were soon picked up by their respective senseis. Only Team 7 was left and Naruto was getting pretty tired of waiting for a sensei that, to be perfectly blunt, probably couldn't teach him much. People far more powerful than anyone in Konoha, or the entire shinobi planet for that matter, had trained him personally. His squad leader would probably favor the Uchiha and spoil the little punk with jutsus. Naruto had to drown out these thoughts as they were making him sick to his stomach. Naruto was interested, however, to see just how he fared against a Jonin. Ugh, where is he? He couldn't have gotten lost, could he? Sakura asked as she wondered what was taking their squad leader so long. Sakura, it's bad enough that I am stuck on the same team as you. Please don't make things worse by annoying me with your useless blabber, Naruto said as Sakura an angry look in response. What did you say, you ignorant BA-? Sakura said before Naruto gave her one of those remember what I can do to you looks, silencing her. Humph, Sasuke said, annoyed at both his teammates and wishing he didn't have to wait around. The classroom door opened a couple of hours later to reveal a man with gray hair, a mask that covered half of his face, a standard Jonin outfit, and a headband that covered one of his eyes. He walked in and briefly observed the three genin. "Okay, you three are with me. Come outside so we can talk a little," the man said as the young ninja got up and followed him outside. "Okay, now I'm going to ask you guys about what you like, things you hate, and your dreams about the future. I'll start off. I'm Kakashi Hitaki. I have no desire to tell you my likes and dislikes. My dreams for the future. As for my hobbies, I have lots of hobbies," Kakashi said while Naruto and the others had anime sweat drops on their heads. While that was informative, Naruto thought to himself as he looked at Kakashi lazily. "Okay now, blonde kid, tells us a little bit about you." Kakashi back as Naruto regained his focus and straightened out his back. "My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I like ramen and hanging around with my friends. I hate people who are annoying and anyone who threatens my village and my friends. My dream is to one day become the strongest Nina and become Hokage," Naruto said as Kakashi nodded at the son of his late sensei. "He's certainly gotten much more powerful than even I am," Kakashi noted as he told Sakura to tell the about herself. "My name is Sakura Haruno. I like giggles. Well, the person I like giggles is Sasuke. I hate Naruto and others who don't like Sasuke. My dream is to be a great shinobi," Sakura said while annoying both Naruto and Kakashi in the process. "Oh, perfect, a fangirl," Kakashi thought before he told Sasuke that it was his turn. "My name is Sasuke Uchiha. I hate a lot of things, and I don't particularly like anything. What I have is not a dream, because I will make it a reality. I'm going to restore my clan and kill a certain someone," he said. Sakura began to look worried while Naruto just shook his head. "Revenge, the one thing that will make anyone a pain in the ass," Naruto thought to himself as he looked at Sasuke. Kakashi looked at Naruto's expression and realized that his thought probably matched his own thought about what Sasuke just said before he continued his little lecture. "Okay then, tomorrow I'm going to give you guys a little exercise I use with my teams. So get some rest and meet me at the training field. I would also advise that you don't eat anything in the morning if I were you," Kakashi said before he left to leave his students to their thoughts about his advice. Sakura and Sasuke were both worried. Naruto, on the other hand, was not fazed by Kakashi's warning in the slightest, as he already knew that Kakashi was bluffing. "You might have these other two fooled, but you'll soon find that I'm much sharper than that," Naruto thought as he headed back to his apartment. The next morning, Naruto woke up and ate a plentiful breakfast before he made his way to the training ground. Sakura and Sasuke showed up a few seconds later, their stomachs growling from not having eaten. They left the training ground the previous day. Naruto mentally chuckled at the pathetic sight of them both. After a couple of hours, Kakashi finally showed up to give them their task. "Good morning, everyone. Today's exercise will be a simple one. All you have to do is take one of these two bells from me. The two who managed to take a bell passed the test, while the one who didn't get a bell will be tied to one of those posts there," Kakashi said as he held up the two bells. "That's it. And here I was thinking that this would be a little bit challenging," Naruto said while popping his neck. "I thought that we would be fighting or something," Sasuke said while Sakura nodded in agreement. "You may think it is so simple, but I haven't told you this next bit. If you don't get one of the bells, you also won't get any lunch at the end," Kakashi said, getting surprised looks from both Sasuke and Sakura. "That's why you didn't want us to eat this morning," Sakura said before Naruto gave a slow clap. "And the light finally turns on," Naruto said sarcastically, getting an angry glance from Sakura. "Getting back to what I was saying, that punishment pales next to the last bit yet," Kakashi said. Sasuke's eyes widened when he heard this while Sakura gulped. The tension in the air grew as Kakashi waited a few seconds before he continued. "Whichever two of you get a bell will continue on to do another exercise, while the one who failed to get a bell will not only fail the test. He or she will be sent back to the academy immediately. This training exercise is actually an extremely difficult post-academy exam with a failure rate of over 66%. In other words, out of the 27 graduates this year, only 9 will be chosen to become Chunin," Kakashi declared. He took a moment to mentally enjoy the reactions from Sasuke and Sakura before he saw that Naruto wasn't even fazed in the least. I see. That's very clever, Kakashi. If it wasn't for my time training at Lost No Chase, I wouldn't have figured out what you really want from us. Too bad these two wouldn't bother agreeing to it, Naruto thought to himself. Kakashi guessed that he either felt that his strength would be enough to beat him, or, from he could tell from Naruto's expression, that he already figured out what the true purpose of this test really was. Shaking off these thoughts, Kakashi refocused his attention to the three graduates. All right, you three. I want you guys use whatever means to take these bells, and that includes the use of any ninja tools and jutsus. If not prepared to kill me, you won't get the bells. Understood? Kakashi asked. The Chunin nodded in agreement. It's time to see how I fare, Naruto thought as he readied himself for battle. Ready? Go, Kakashi said, while Sakura and Sasuke scattered. Naruto stayed put, crossing his arms. I have no intention of hiding and waiting. I'm going to see right now if I can hang with one of the best Konoha has to offer, Naruto said. He cracked a smile as Kakashi readied himself. I've actually wanted to see what you can do as well, Kakashi said while pulled out an orange book from one of his pouches. What are you doing? Naruto asked, raising an eyebrow at his sensei. Finding out what happens at the end, Kakashi said as he saw Naruto's face drop to the ground. Anyways, Naruto said before disappearing in a flash step. What the dash? Kakashi said before looking up to see Naruto with one leg raised vertically in the air. Hollow leg drop. Naruto yelled as he brought his leg down on Kakashi, causing a huge crater in the process. Holy crap, Sasuke and Sakura thought to themselves, with their jaws on the floor, as they witnessed the immense power Naruto had just displayed. When the dust settled, Naruto stood over a log that was broken in half. A substitution jutsu. This guy is quick on his feet, Naruto said as he looked around for his sensei. I have to admit, I wasn't expecting that from him. I guess I won't be able to fight and read a book at the same time with him on my heels, Kakashi thought to himself as he hid in the tree from his student. He also decided to put his book back into its pouch. How in the name of Kami did you get so strong, Baka? Sakura asked as she and Sasuke came out of hiding and walked to Naruto. Years of intense training and a drive not fueled by revenge, Naruto said, having clearly directed the second part of his comment at Sasuke. Are you saying that my way is wrong? That I shouldn't punish the man responsible for my clan's destruction? Sasuke asked while Naruto just shook his head. You just don't get it, Naruto said while Sasuke began to walk away. Whatever. I'm gonna go find Kakashi and get my bell, Sasuke said before he disappeared, leaving Naruto and Sakura by themselves. Sasuke will definitely get a bell. He'll also help me get one too, Sakura said, to which Naruto just rolled his eyes. That idiot won't get a bell with that kind of attitude. Heck, even if he did manage to beat Kakashi, he still wouldn't get a bell, Naruto said with a smile, while Sakura looked at him with confusion. What do you mean? Sakura asked while Naruto still smiled. This is what I mean, Naruto declared, holding up both bells. When did you get those? Sakura asked, shocked at the sight of the bells. When I disappeared, I snatched the bells quickly and then moved above Kakashi. I'm actually surprised he didn't notice, he said while Sakura's eyes sparkled at the bells. So I guess I have to beat you to get the bells. Let's do this, Sakura getting ready only to get laughed at by Naruto. As much as I would love to smear you across the ground, you're still my teammate, Naruto said to Sakura as he tossed her a bell and started to walk off. Why just give it to me so willingly? Sakura asked as Naruto turned around and looked at her. Because you'll need it more than me, he said before Flash stepping away, leaving Sakura lost in thought. Naruto searched around for Sasuke. He expected to see him fighting Kakashi, but he found something else. Sasuke was neck deep in the ground, having been put there because of Kakashi. Naruto had to fight the urge to snicker at the prodigy's situation. So I guess you didn't get a bell, huh? Naruto said. This got him Sasuke's attention, as well as a frown. I almost had him. What do you want, loser? Sasuke asked, while Naruto stood a few inches from his face. Your goal to get revenge for your clan isn't going to get you anywhere, Naruto replied. Sasuke was shocked at what Naruto just said. I have to avenge my clan. What do you know about it? Sasuke asked while Naruto just looked at him with a calm and collected expression. I don't know what it's like to lose your whole clan, but if you continue to go down this path of revenge, it'll only consume you in the end. Then what will you do? Naruto asked as Sasuke simply smirked at him. Here's my answer. Loser, Sasuke said before proceeded to spit on Naruto's sandals. Oh well, can't say I didn't try. You don't deserve this, but I really don't care, Naruto said as he tossed the second bell in front of Sasuke. When did you get that? Sasuke asked. Naruto just flashed stepped away again without responding. Naruto landed on a tree, where a certain masked, orange book reading Jonin was sitting on a branch. Kakashi put his book away and started to slowly clap. I'm impressed that you were able to get those bells in such a short time, Kakashi said as Naruto sat down on the tree branch. You should have at least attempted to use your Sharingan, though it would have at least made things more interesting, Naruto said to Kakashi before taking a moment to mentally smirk at the Jonin's reaction. How did he? Never mind. I even want to know, Kakashi thought to himself as he regained his composure. Anyways, I'm just surprised that you didn't stop me or try to get the bells back, Naruto said as Kakashi sat down next to him. I wanted to see what you would do with them. So, why did you give those two the bells? Kakashi asked while Naruto thought back at his time in Lost No Chase. Flashback. Somewhere within Lost No Chase, Hueco Mundo. You really think that you can take me? Apache asked, enraged that Mila Rose would even try to take her on. Heck yeah, I could. Unicorn weakling, Mila Rose said as she got face to face with Apache. You two fighting all the time is so childish and trivial, Sung Sun said, getting angry looks from the other two as a result. What did you just say? Apache asked, getting even madder because of the comment. Naruto, meanwhile, watched as the three fraction members fought amongst themselves from the top of a nearby tower. He saw Tyr Harabel walking behind him. Why do they constantly fight amongst themselves, Harabel-sama? They have to work together as a team with you and the rest of the errand car, but all they do is fight each other, Naruto said as Harabel walked up to him and to his right side. You are right, they do fight amongst themselves a lot, but they still work together because of their loyalty, Otimi. Loyalty is the key for any team to work together for a united goal, Harabel said as she saw that her wisdom had already reached Naruto. End flashback. Konoha Training Grounds. Current time. Let's just say that I had a good teacher that taught that loyalty is the key to uniting a team, Naruto said as Kakashi nodded at him. Well, the timer should be going off any moment now. You should probably go off somewhere, Kakashi said. Naruto took off as soon as he was done. A few seconds later, the timer went off and everyone made their way back to the hero's memorial stone. Sakura and Sasuke showed Kakashi that they had their bells. Kakashi congratulated them both and told them they could eat. He told Naruto that he would have to be tied to the log. Naruto willingly went over and let himself be tied up. Kakashi then told Sasuke and Sakura that they could eat their lunch, but were told that Naruto could not, and that they could not feed him any of their lunch. Kakashi then said that they would attempt this test one last time just in case the results of the first attempt were a fluke before he left Team 7, so that they could eat their lunch. I still don't understand why you helped us, Naruto, Sakura said while Naruto just stared off into the ether. It doesn't matter if you understand it or not. Though I don't like it, you guys are my teammates, so I have to help you, Naruto said while Sasuke scoffed at him while he ate. You're an idiot who doesn't know how to take advantage of an opportunity, and that's all there is to it, Sasuke said while eating his lunch in front of him in an unsuccessful attempt to irritate Naruto. He stopped when, to his amazement, he saw was Sakura raising her lunch to Naruto. Naruto was equally surprised by this move. Don't think that this means that I like you or anything, but you did help me. This is just a way for me to thank you, Sakura said as Naruto breathed a sigh of relief. Oh, thank Kami. For a moment, I thought you were trying to make me fall for you or something, Naruto said as he got an angry look from Sakura. Do you want to eat or what? Sakura asked before she saw that Naruto now had a serious look on his face. You'll have to feed it to my mouth considering I'm a little tied up right now, Naruto said. Sakura, while undoubtedly angry, understood the circumstances. Fine here, Sakura said as she took a little bit of the food with her chopstick and giving it to Naruto. The minute Naruto swallowed the food, There was a huge boom. Kakashi appeared a split second later with an angry expression on his face. "Didn't I tell you not to feed him?" Kakashi yelled as he noticed Sakura looked scared out of her mind, while Naruto had a serious look in his eyes. "Was JJ just giving him some of my LL lunch since he helped me get a BB Bell?" A terrified Sakura stuttered as Kakashi looked at her, then Naruto. "Is this true, Naruto?" Kakashi asked, though he already knew the truth. "It's true. I gave Sakura her bell," Naruto replied while Sasuke just looked at him with anger. "Well, if that's the case," Kakashi said in angry tone. Just as Sasuke and Sakura began to brace themselves for the worst, Kakashi suddenly turned tail and smiled at them, though it was hidden behind his mask. "You pass," Kakashi said cheerfully while getting shocked looks from Sakura and Sasuke. "We passed," Sakura said before proceeding to jump up with joy after Kakashi's statement sunk in. "Well, that was a good act you put on there, sensei," Naruto said. Even Naruto was willing to admit that Kakashi scared him at the beginning, though not by much. "What do you mean we pass?" Sasuke asked as he was still unsure what was going on. "This test was all about teamwork and how well you three could work together." Naruto was the only one who realized it, though it was Sakura's actions that sealed the deal. Kakashi said as he untied Naruto. "I figured as much, but why so much deception? If the goal was teamwork, why not have a bell for each of us?" Naruto asked, to which Kakashi responded by pointing at the memorial stone behind him. "It's something that a close friend of mine taught me. Those who break the rules are scum, but those who betray are worse than scum," Kakashi said. Naruto nodded in understanding. He now realized this test was designed to see if the people partaking in it were able to place their team over the rules. "So what now?" Naruto asked after that they had passed their sensei's first test. "Now, Team 7 starts missions tomorrow," Kakashi said as give the Chunin a thumbs up. "Finally, we can get down to business," Naruto thought as he left Kakashi and his teammates and headed home. Chapter 5, A Mission on Waves. Mission Assignment Room, the Academy, Konohagakure. Current time. Naruto and his team had been completing numerous D-rank missions, all of which felt like a waste of time, and, to both Naruto and Sasuke, a waste of their skills. In Naruto's case no forget that, all of these missions didn't even require the use of his Zanpakuto. Naruto was dying to get some action and, after going on a mission to retrieve Tora, the pet cat of the Fire Daimyo's wife, for the 10th time, he almost used his Zanpakuto on the feline in his frustration, having deciding that he would just put the cat out of its misery and to get it out of his hair, so to speak. Kakashi managed to talk Naruto down, thankfully, after he promised that they wouldn't do this mission again. Naruto wasn't too happy in sparing the cat's life, but as long as he didn't have to deal with this cat ever again, he was satisfied. Upon returning Tora, the daimyo's wife crushed it with a hug and paid the Hokage before she left. Naruto now felt a little sorry for the annoying feline. As the daimyo's wife left the room, Naruto decided to voice his frustration. "Old man, this pile of crap that you call missions is not what I thought I was going to be doing when I graduated," Naruto said as he crossed his arms. "I understand that these aren't the most ideal missions, but they are essential to the village's financial survival," Sandaime said as he got a frustrated sigh from Naruto and his teammates, as they were also tired of getting these chores. "Can't you give me a mission that might force me to put some of my training to use?" Naruto asked. Naruto was getting a little edgy over the fact that he had not been able to use what he had learned during his training in Lost Noches outside of practice sessions with the rest of his team, and he couldn't even use full power even then after nearly, and accidentally, killing an unsuspecting Chunin team when he demonstrated his Grand Race Zero to his team. "Well, there is this one C-rank mission that we have here. A bridge builder from Land of Waves needs a team to escort him back home so that he can finish a bridge," Sandaime said as he looked over the mission description. "Sounds better than walking a dog or pulling out some old woman's weeds," Sasuke said. He, like Naruto, was also at his wits' end with all the ridiculous missions. "Okay then, bring out the client," Sandaime ordered as two Chunin near the door of the room went to retrieve the builder. The builder was an old man holding onto a bottle of alcohol and seemed to be little more than a drunk to Team 7. What he said next did little to improve Team 7's or at least Sakura and Sasuke's, opinion of him. What is this? I pay you guys to give me top protection and you give me a Cyclops, an emo-looking, duck-butt-haired freak, and a pink-haired monster with the largest forehead that I have ever seen, the bridge builder said, earning himself some ugly looks from Sasuke and Sakura while getting a snicker from Naruto. Got anything to comment on me? Naruto asked. He just was dying to see what this guy could come up with for him. Nice outfit, the bridge builder said as he gave Naruto a thumbs up. Naruto chuckled at this, to which Sakura and Sasuke got even more steamed. Mr. Tazuna, you only had enough money for a low-rank escort detail. Besides, you said bandits and highwaymen were the only people that might come after you on your way home, so I think that you are in good hands, Sandame explained while smiling at Tazuna, who just rubbed the back of his head in embarrassment. The Sandame's comments, and Tazuna's reaction to Tot comment, caused multiple alarms to ring out in Naruto's mind. Why would he need top protection if he's only worried about a bunch of thugs? If he's hiding something, then this might just make things interesting, Naruto thought to himself before he decided not to voice his suspicions. Shall we go then, Mr. Tazuna? Kakashi asked Tazuna, who gave the Jonin a sigh before nodding. Tazuna and his shinobi escort left the Konoha and headed out to the land of waves a few minutes later. On the way there, Sasuke didn't say much. Sakura tried to get his attention, and Kakashi rolled his eyes at Sakura's advances while Tazuna drank the rest of his drink. Naruto, on the other hand, was thinking the Espada and his fractions. He wondering how they doing and if he would ever see any the Espada again. He knew that, eventually, he would see his fractions since he could call for them to join him whenever he pleased, though there was no need for that just yet. He snapped out of these thoughts when he saw a puddle on the right side of the road. Naruto would not have considered that out of the ordinary, if it wasn't for the fact that it hasn't rained in these parts for well over a month. Naruto smirked this as he walked past the puddle only to turn around sharply and, with his left hand, stabbed the puddle of water in the center. Tazuna, Sasuke, and Sakura looked at Naruto as if he was crazy until blood pooled out of puddle and two masked figures jumped out. Glad I wasn't the only one who noticed that, Kakashi thought to himself as he brought out a kunai. You little brat, how'd you find out? One of the masked guys asked as he brought out his clawed hand, which was chained to the clawed hand of his counterpart. Next time you should transform into anything except a puddle of water when it hasn't rained here in over a month, Naruto said as he unsheathed his Zanpakuto. So the kitty has a sword. Let's see if you can actually use that thing, other assailants said as he and his partner charged at Naruto with their claws ready to strike. Sasuke, Sakura, protect the bridge builder, Kakashi said as went to give Naruto a hand. Sasuke was a little reluctant to do that, but had decided, wisely, not to get on Kakashi's bad side while Sakura, on the other hand, had no problem staying out of the fight. Naruto blocked one of the attackers while the other one tried to attack from behind only to be cut off by Kakashi and his kunai for his efforts. Naruto spun around and kicked the attacker to his rear over Kakashi's head. When the rear attacker was sent flying, Kakashi cut the chain connecting him to his partner. Naruto then took the one he kicked by the throat and slammed against the ground, knocking him out cold. With that assailant unconscious, Naruto turned his attention to the other one, only to find that Kakashi had already tied him up to a tree after he had defeated him. You know, I could have taken them both, Naruto said as he was a little disappointed that Kakashi had stepped in during the battle. I know, but where's the fun in letting my students do all the fighting? Kakashi asked, rhetorically, as gave Naruto an eye smile. Anyways, why don't we find out who this guy is? Naruto said as looked at the bound masked man. These two are the demon brothers of Kiri. The one you took out is Meizu, and the one we have here is Gozu. They were both ninja from Kirigakure, but had defected a while back. Now they're just a couple of missing means, Kakashi said. Naruto nodded in understanding before he began to question Gozu. So tell me, for what reason would a couple of missing means like yourselves have to attack us? Naruto asked as he got close to Gozu. We were assigned to kill the old man, so he couldn't finish his bridge, Gozu said. Naruto frowned at him upon hearing this revelation. If that's the case, then who was it that sent you? Naruto asked, to which Gozu scoffed at him. You're gonna run into him sooner than later, you little punk, and when that happens you and your team are as good as dead, Gozu said. The missing Nin let out an evil chuckle as Naruto just smirked. We'll see about that, Naruto calmly said before he knocked Gozu out with a hit to the head. Is there something you forgot to mention back in Konoha? Kakashi asked while looking at Tazuna. Everyone else procked to do the same. Tazuna let out a sigh before he answered. I guess there's no reason to keep hiding it from you anymore. A powerful businessman and criminal boss by the name of Gato has been oppressing both my village and country. Gato runs a shipping magnate which he also uses as a front for smuggling various kinds of contraband, and has taken over the shipping lanes into my country, which is our only way of getting supplies in and out of our country. If I can complete my bridge, it will open a different way of trading with different countries and get us free from Gato's grip on our country, since he can't take that over without drawing suspicion from the other nations. Gato knows this, and he has been trying to keep me away from the land of waves by any means necessary. I could only get enough money to pay for a C-ranking mission, which is why I said that bandits and thieves were the only ones that might come after me. I know I tricked you, but you have to understand that my village, and my country by extension, won't survive while Gato remains in power. I'm not asking you to stay with me. You can leave and end the mission right now if you wish, Tazuna said while Kakashi looked, first at him, and then at his Chunin team. What do you guys think we should do? Kakashi asked his team, who were now in thought. Naruto was the first one to answer. I knew something was amiss. Well, I wanted action, and now I've got it. It also sounds like this guy and his country are in a real bind, and I can just stand around and let innocent people suffer. I'm in, Naruto said, getting a nod from Kakashi. Sure, it'll help me prove that I am an elite, Sasuke said, getting an approving nod from Sakura. Oh brother, Naruto thought to himself, rolling his eyes in annoyance. I guess it's settled then. We will protect you until the bridge is completed, Tazuna, Kakashi said, earning a smile from Tazuna. Thank you so much, Tazuna said as he kept walking with Team 7 to the land of waves. Zabuza's hideout. Meanwhile, the Demon Brothers failed you, Zabuza Momochi. I am paying you top dollar for your services, and this is what I get in return, Gato said before he was cut short by Zabuza, who pointed his executioner's blade at his employer's neck. Calm yourself, Gato. I see now that it was a mistake to send those two. I will deal with this matter, personally, Zabuza said as he smiled underneath his bandages. Chapter 6. Demon of the Mist? Not so much. Somewhere in the land of waves. Team 7 was making its way closer and closer to Tazuna's village, staying on their guard for anyone that might come for them the whole time. Kakashi was keeping cool throughout the trip, though he stayed on his toes, so to speak, the whole time as well. Sakura was hoping that she wasn't going to have to fight anyone, considering her skills weren't up to par with either Sasuke or her sensei. She hadn't acknowledged Naruto's strength yet, though he could care less about her acknowledgement. Sasuke didn't care if he might be forced to fight since he was an elite, and, as such, he would be victorious against any opponent. Naruto, meanwhile, was actually hoping that he would get to fight a strong opponent. This was part of the reason why he became stronger and lost no chase. Other than protecting those precious to him, Naruto wanted to get stronger by fighting the strongest. Maybe it was a bit of his mentor Neutra Gilga was rubbing off on him, or, more than likely, he was just frustrated by the lack of action in his previous missions. The one thing that Naruto was certain of was that he had an itch to fight someone he could actually let loose on. Naruto was taken out of his train of thought when he heard something moving in a copse of nearby bushes. Naruto then leaped at the copse and unsheathed his Zanpakuto, pointing the tip at the source of the disturbance. He was surprised to see that the culprit was nothing more a white rabbit which trembled as Naruto held his Zanpakuto at it. Naruto put his blade back into its sheath and picked up the little rabbit. Everyone else was wondering why he had lunged at a bush until they saw him emerge from the bushes with the rabbit in hand. False alarm, everyone. It was just this little guy here, said Naruto, giving a sheepish smile. Getting spooked by a little rabbit, loser? Sasuke asked mockingly. The smirk that he had vanished when he saw that Naruto was giving him an angry scowl. Not as spooked you'll be if I drop you in Hueco Mundo for 5 minutes, Naruto said, to which Sasuke quickly, albeit reluctantly, backed down in fear. Naruto not told his team much regarding his time training in Hueco Mundo to the members of his team. The stories he had told them, however, were terrifying enough for his teammates to wonder whether he had simply gone to hell for 7 years. Naruto, don't you think there's something weird about this rabbit? Kakashi asked. Naruto raised an eyebrow as he looked back down at the rabbit until he understood what Kakashi was talking about. This rabbit's coat is as white as snow. It's midsummer, so it should be gray. Someone's been keeping this rabbit someone's indoors and cool, Naruto said as he saw Kakashi nod at him. Before Kakashi could say another word, however, a huge sword appeared from out of nowhere and came flying towards the group. Everyone ducked except for Naruto who, using his quick reflexes, managed to draw out his Zanpakuto. He spun underneath the spinning blade and thrusted the blade into the hole of the sword as it passed by him, causing the blade to spin around his Zanpakuto until it settled down towards the Tsuba. Naruto pulled his Zanpakuto out of the hole of the huge blade. Naruto saw that it was a very large sword that was in the form of an oversized butcher's knife. Not bad, kid. I didn't expect that you would be able to maneuver that fast, Zabuza said as he appeared from the shadows. This is quite a large blade you have here. Are you compensating for something? Naruto asked Zabuza and narrowed his eyes at him. Rocker 1600 note, my other favorite funny moment. You better watch your mouth, kid, or I'll show you how to really wield a blade. Zabuza warned Naruto, who simply grinned at him. Now that is something I'd like to see, Naruto said before he tossed the executioner's blade back to Zabuza. Be careful, Naruto. This is Zabuza Momochi, one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist. He has been called the demon of the mist due to his brutality and bloodlust, so don't take him lightly. Kakashi warned, to which Naruto replied by giving him a smirk. Don't worry about me, sensei. This guy lost this fight the moment I became his opponent, Naruto said as he unsheathed his Zanpakuto and entered into his fighting stance. Don't push your luck with me, kid. You may have some skills, but I've been handling a blade a lot longer than you have, Zabuza said as he took his stance as well. Then how about you show me instead of talking me to death, Naruto said as he ran towards Zabuza. Gladly, Zabuza said as he swung his blade at Naruto's head. Naruto brought up his blade and met Zabuza's sword head-on. Naruto then proceeded to push back the executioner's blade before he made a vertical swing. Zabuza parried the strike biof. He spun around and swung vertically at Naruto, who simply ducked and landed a kick to Zabuza's chest, which sent him flying. Zabuza managed to recompose himself, but not before Naruto was already on top of him. Zabuza was barely able to bring up his sword in time to block Naruto's attack. I have to admit, I was expecting more from one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist, Naruto said in a rather insulting tone, putting Zabuza down even more with the fact that he was only fighting with one hand on the blade while the other hand was still in his pocket. Don't get overconfident so quickly, Zabuza said as he kept both hands on his sword. Naruto raised an eyebrow before he saw someone running past them both and heading right for Kakashi, Sasuke, Sakura, and Tazuna. It was Zabuza, which meant Naruto was fighting a clone. Naruto immediately used his free hand to disarm the clone of the executioner's blade and, in one swift and fluid motion, sliced off Zabuza's head. The real Zabuza, meanwhile, brought up his sword to try to slash through Kakashi, who had activated his Sharingan, to get to Tazuna. But as he was about to bring down his sword, Naruto grabbed Zabuza by his body strap. You should make sure that I'm taken care of before you focus on anyone else, Baka, Naruto said as he flung the swordsman to the spot where he had been fighting Zabuza's clone. Very well, I was getting sick of you anyway, Zabuza said as he began forming multiple hand signs. He's got something big up his sleeve. Luckily, I got something up my sleeve for him, too, Naruto thought as he placed both hands on his Zanpakuto. Water style, great waterfall technique, Zabuza yelled as a huge wall of water surged around him and barreled towards Naruto. Move, Naruto, Kakashi yelled as he got the others out of the way. Naruto just stood there. However, as some powerful energy was building up in Naruto's blade, which took the form of an orange-colored wave that resembled a crescent moon. Getsuga Tensho, Naruto yelled as he swung his sword and sent the massive wave of Ryatsu flying. The attack cut right through the wall of water as if it wasn't even there. Tazuna and the rest of Team 7 just looked on in shock as the attack then pushed right through Zabuza and sent him flying. He eventually smacked right into a tree back first. Zabuza then looked up and saw Naruto walking slowly towards him. Zabuza stood up, but was immediately pinned the tree by 3 kunais before he could do anything else. Kakashi then appeared on a tree branch above him. "Nicely done, Naruto," Kakashi said, flashing his usual eye smile. "Thanks. That's the same attack I used for my jutsu test back at the academy," Naruto said. When he did the attack at the academy, it was, intentionally, much weaker than the one he just used right now, and even then he was still using only a tiny fraction of the full power of that attack. "Impressive. Anyways, I think it's time to finish him," Kakashi said as he pulled out a kunai. "Agreed," Naruto said as he took out his Zanpakuto in one hand. "I am not going to be put down by some little punk." "You can key dash," Zabuza said before he was struck in the neck with 3 Senbon needles. "What the dash?" Naruto asked before a Kirigakure Hunter Nin appeared next to Zabuza. "Thank you. If it had not been for your intervention and strength, I don't think I would have taken Zabuza down," the Hunter Ninja said as he looked down at Zabuza. "No prob. Always happy to help someone with a problem," Naruto said as he sheathed his Zanpakuto. "Now then, I will take him away and dispose of his remains," the Hunter Ninja said, while picking Zabuza up off the ground. "Don't you think you should take care of that now? I mean, that is how you guys do things professionally in your department," Naruto asked as he suddenly got a little suspicious of the ninja. "You're quite clever. The problem with that is that we Hunter Nins also dispose of the body or can see us doing so. We'll definitely meet again, though," the Hunter Ninja said before taking off with Zabuza. "That was an accomplice of Zabuza's. This fight isn't over yet," Naruto said, getting an agreeing from Kakashi. "You're right. But for now, let us get Tazuna to his village Sothat. He can do his job, and we can do ours," Kakashi said before he walked back to Sakura and the others with Naruto next to him. "This mission just keeps getting better and better," Naruto thought to himself as smiled with sheer excitement.